Hello everybody, and welcome to the Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage playthrough. Oh my good god, these titles just get longer and longer and longer and longer. But it's fine, because this game is a very, very short one. It was effectively a demo for Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's going to be just a nice, fun little ride for us to go on before we truly begin Kingdom Hearts 3. Because, obviously at the point of recording this commentary, Kingdom Hearts 3 is out. It is real. I have played it, not finished it at this moment in time, but I have played it, and loving it, and, yes, this is sort of the final step in the journey to Kingdom Hearts 3. I know when, obviously, Dream Drop Distance came out, it was just like, this leads to Kingdom Hearts 3. It didn't quite, but, this certainly did, and, while it's not perfect, it is a fascinating game to lead in to Kingdom Hearts 3, and we're going to have fun, I feel.
The great battle with Xehanort is almost upon us. As you know, we must take action to keep the Seven Pure Lights safe, and thus we must hasten to assemble the Seven Guardians of Light. It is time to return to our world the three Keyblade wielders we lost over a decade ago. Ventus, Terra, and Aqua must be saved from their sad end, for they have more to achieve. Following their first battle with Xehanort, Ventus's heart refused to awaken, and so Aqua found a safe location to conceal him. But when she set off in search of her other missing friend, Terra, she fell to a place from which there is no return without outside help.
I saw her in the realm of darkness.
And, so, yes, this is going to be Aqua's story in the realm of darkness, and, basically it's a flashback game, that's always a fun one, but we begin with a really amazing opening scene. I mean, Kingdom Hearts has always had amazing openings, but this one is particularly spectacular. I think it is in part because of the really amazing remix that they did of Simple and Clean. I believe it's called the Ray of Hope mix, and it's just, I think it's because there's just a sort of a pop and a kind of really awesome bounce to it that you didn't have in like the original Planet B mix that was in the original Kingdom Hearts, and it's just got a real has got a real sense of hope to it, which I think is quite fitting considering everything that Aqua does in this game is sort of, it's try to hope and fight against losing hope, and really it's a really great remix. I think I remember when it was first sort of revealed, everyone was just like, oh my god, this is like the best remix ever, and they really, really liked it, and I mean, I was definitely one of those people as well. And also I just really like this opening as well, because these scenes are always really well animated and they always look incredible, but also it's a really nice recap of Aqua's story to this point, and sort of all of her hopes and dreams and where everything's going to lead. Yeah, I just, whenever I see this, I'm just like, yes! And I just want to sing along to the music every single time. So the hold me, whatever lies beyond this morning is a little later on. Regardless of warnings, the future doesn't scare me at all. Nothing's like before. I just, yeah. Pretty much whenever there's a song that I like, I just sort of end up singing along like a crazy person, as I do. I mean, I went to go see Aladdin in West End yesterday, actually, for when I'm recording this commentary. And yeah, obviously, it is not the done thing to sing along to a musical in the middle of a theatre whilst you're watching the show. That is not appropriate. But I definitely was, mouthing along to all the songs that I knew. So, yeah, it was basically just like a whole new world. Just, lip syncing it rather than actually singing it. But it's fine. Don't worry, I've already started doing that with Face My Fears and Don't Think Twice. So, I am always there. But yes, poor Aqua, strolling along through the dark world, and yes, what's really cool is that this ultimately follows on from the secret episode of Birth by Sleep Final Mix, which I think initially it was going to be its whole game. It was going to be, I think, Birth by Sleep 0.5. But I think because then they decided to shrink down the size of it, because I think they still wanted to tell this story, and also I suppose wanted a good tester for the Kingdom Hearts 3 engine. So they basically thought, well, we can tell this story here, and that way none of that goes to waste. But also, it can prepare people for playing Kingdom Hearts 3. Because ultimately, rather than having like the Birth by Sleep style battle system, which you would perhaps expect with playing as Aqua, you go to the much more traditional Kingdom Hearts control style. And it is basically a preparation for Kingdom Hearts 3. And I will say that there are definitely flaws with the gameplay of 0.2. There are also flaws in the visual style, like for some reason everything looks really plasticky. I don't know what it is about it, it's a bit odd. And also, I mean, the thing just runs kind of poorly. It's not very well optimised in the slightest. It does, I believe, go for 60 frames per second. I could be wrong on that fact. And there are sort of moments of slowdown and weirdness. I mean, I really struggle throughout this game to get the timing on the block right. And I don't know whether it's a case of there was a bit of control delay or something, or whether it was just my really bad timing, which is certainly a possibility. But it is just one of those things where certain elements just don't feel quite right with certain sort of elements. But on the whole, it is still an enjoyable little jaunt through the dark world. And I mean, to be fair, it's just nice to spend time with Aqua again. Unfortunately, it is a much more depressed Aqua. than she ever used to be. I mean, spending 10 years in the Dark World kinda will do that to you.
I guess I know which way I'm going.
But it is nice to sort of have her back. Because she is definitely one of the best female characters in the Kingdom Hearts franchise. Which is great. So, as we sort of go through Cinderella's world, so the Castle of Dreams in the Dark World,
I haven't felt my heart stir.
we'll
in a
get
long
more
time.
of Aqua's abilities as the game sort of introduces
Something
things
about this
to
place.
us. Start off slow, kind of build up. It's what Kingdom Hearts 3 does in its introduction as well,
It looks
which
like
is
what's next.
nice. Just to it gets you back into the flow of these things. Because, I mean, obviously I picked this up. Well, obviously I had beaten it before rather than like when I took on Dream Drop Distance HD. Even though obviously I played the original Dream Drop Distance, I hadn't played the HD version, so it was sort of slightly different, but I had played this before. But the way that this plays in comparison to Dream Drop Distance does take a little bit of getting used to. It's one of those sorts of readjustment periods that you have to go through sometimes with games. Because they work slightly differently, or just different mechanics they change. But yes, the menu looks very much like you would expect. You've got a whole thing of the story, giving you the story so far. The one thing that I am not the best fan of with this is, even though I love the menu, because I mean this is basically the Kingdom Hearts menus that I know and love, is that there's no sort of report of any kind. All that you've really got as your guide is a bunch of objectives, which we'll go into shortly. I wish there was a bit more than that, but there is not. So I don't expect to pick up all the chests in this, because it's not going to happen.
Here, too, everyone in this world thought that they were safe. Not just the people, but the dog waiting for his owner. The cat curled up in her nook. So much life. Trees and flowers. There's no deeper sadness than discovering all that you knew was gone. The grief in this place is too much to fathom. That's enough. I can't keep on wishing for the past.
So, yes, this has introduced us to objectives. Now, well, what the objectives are different challenges that you can do throughout the game. So, defeat 30 shadows, raise Aqua to level 60, defeat 5 hearts with counterblasts. It's basically sort of just challenges that you can take on. I am going to try and do as many of these as is physically possible to do in a first playthrough, because annoyingly there is only some stuff that you can do from your second playthrough. So you will have seen at the start that I had the option to carry over my clear data. I chose not to do that because I sort of wanted to go in completely fresh to this, because it had been a while and I was just like, you know what, I want to try and just go through from the beginning and show what it would be like when you're collecting all of these different objectives. Because otherwise I'm trying to collect all the other stuff and I'm maybe not quite ready for that, I suppose. Because you start with Aqua at level 50, which is great and actually kind of funny because sort of when you finish Birth by Sleep with Aqua, you're probably around that level anyway. So level 50 is sort of Aqua's canonical level at the end of Birth by Sleep. And you can sort of only go up from there. But I will say it's a challenge to get up to like level 60. I mean, by the end of this, I'm not going to be at level 60. I'm going to be close, but not actually there. And I believe to get all of those objectives, you need to get Aqua up to level 80, which is kind of crazy. There's not really enough game there to achieve that. But hey, if you want to go for it, you can go for it.
If only I made it in time. But there is no time in this place, only the clock.
So yes, this introduces us to our thing, I suppose, for Castletown, as I believe the area is called. Basically, we need to find a whole bunch of these gears, attack them, and then the path to the castle will be restored. So that's our target, really.
I knew it.
And now we finally get access to Aqua's magic.
I should look for a gear.
She doesn't retain any of her sort of major magic commands from Birth by Sleep, but she does have Thraga, Blizzaga, Thundaga, and Curaga. So it's very easy to just make use of them. And she does retain her Spellweaver command style, and just sort of all that jazz. But I will say, like, the Kingdom Hearts gameplay style is fun no matter what. I would say that this is... I mean, it's definitely still fun. I think it is just sort of the slight timing. I don't know whether it's the 60 was like aiming for 60 frames per second and maybe not quite always hitting it. I don't know, but there is something that feels slightly weird and oddly floaty about 0.2. From what I've played of KH3 so far, they seem to have fixed sort of my key issues that I had with 0.2's gameplay. So really this was very much a test for them, as much as it is sort of a demo for Kingdom Hearts 3. But yes, we get some really large areas here. Not as large as we end up getting in Kingdom Hearts 3, but still quite big. And like this Castletown area is pretty gigantic. All sorts of different sort of levels to it. Loads of different enemies in here. It's kind of crazy, actually. And yeah, so obviously I mentioned earlier on that with 0.2, it was originally going to be, Birth by Sleep Volume 2, which was seen in the secret ending of Birth by Sleep Final Mix, and was going to bridge the gap between the original Birth by Sleep and the original Kingdom Hearts. And it was going to be, I think, a full game, but obviously that didn't happen. In October 2014, so about 3 years after that, Tetsuya Nomura stated, "It shows the existence of Aqua's story in the realm of darkness. It means that she didn't just wander about in the darkness for 10 years, but that she passed through many experiences. However, it is a fragmentary passage, as the name suggests, and that the story was severed and wasn't told. I hope we can tell it when given the opportunity." Obviously then, when we got to Kingdom Hearts HD 2.5 Remix, you had clips of KH3D shown, plus a secret ending related to the game, which suggested, that there was going to be another collection. And then finally, in September 2015, Square Enix announced Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, which was then obviously going to be released the next year. And basically, I think in that same month, Nomura stated that the collection was being developed alongside KH3 and was created to allow players to experience new elements being developed for the game sooner rather than later. And that's why it was going to then be released on the PS4 so that it could, use the engine. Obviously, being Nomura, with the name of the collection, 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue, basically he believes that Kingdom Hearts Dreamed Up Distance is considered number 2.6 in the series, since it follows the events in 2.5, and the key games, with the absence of Sora, are considered 0, while Birth by Sleep is 0.1, which means that a fragmentary passage is 0.2. When you add all those numbers together, you get 2.8. And when this was kind of initially shown off at Jump Festa in 2015, and then it was then, people really liked the aesthetic quality. They thought it looked great, but I know that there were a few images that were released. Definitely the one of Riku and Kairi and Yensid, and everyone's just a bit like, oh no, that's a little bit too plasticky, and everyone was a little bit like, ooh, not sure, but okay. And I know when some of the demos came out for this demo for a demo, which is a bit ridiculous, but still, people were sort of like, there's just something slightly off about the visual style. And thankfully they did, come this final release for this, they did manage to fix that. It's not perfect by any means, but it's definitely better than it was. So, obviously 0.2 doesn't have any, I think, major specific reviews for itself, but Final Chapter Prologue received generally favourable reviews. Chris Carter from Just Upload gave it a 7.5 out of 10, saying it was a solid game that definitely has an audience. It might lack replay value, could be too short, or there are some hard to ignore faults, but the experience is fun. And Games Radar's Anthony John Agnello gave this game a score of 4 out of 5 stars, with the consensus being Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue is essential for the faithful, flummoxing for newcomers, and a promising start for the series' life on PS4. Jonathan Dornbush's score of 7.5 out of 10 on IGN said that a great glimpse at what's to come, but the return to the past is an at times unsatisfying appetizer. So there was a sort of a real mixture of responses to 2.8 in general and to 0.2. I think what a lot of people were potentially expecting was a bit more of a full game than what we ultimately ended up getting. I think that that's sort of what they were expecting. Maybe something that wasn't a 2-3 hour experience and something that was more in line with like a kind of maybe a 10-hour experience. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I for certain was... I maybe expected another hour or two out of it, so maybe more in line with like a 5-hour game than what we ultimately ended up getting. But that expectation of what was going to be there, it was just what I thought was going to be there, and even though that's obviously not what we got, I wasn't necessarily overly disappointed in it, because it was still nice to return to the Kingdom Hearts series after, well, quite a while, really.
I can see the whole square from here. Yep.
So, yeah, it was actually 6 years between Dream Drop Distance and... No, 5 years between Dream Drop Distance and Final Chapter Prologue. So, if you don't count Key, which, I mean, to be fair, I sort of don't, because obviously the whole mobile thing, it's the odd one. Yeah, 5 years between main Kingdom Hearts games. Obviously we had 1.5 Remix Key, 2.5 Remix and Unchained Key, but obviously the remixes are the remixes, and so yeah, 5 years between main Kingdom Hearts titles, which is, I believe, the longest gap that there's ever been in the franchise, actually. Because it was a 2-year gap between KH and Chain of Memories. Kingdom Hearts 2 came out the year after. There was then a 2-year gap before Rechain of Memories. Then Coded, Days, Birth by Sleep and Recoded basically came out 1 year after the other. There was then a 2-year gap between Recoded and Dream Drop Distance. And then, yeah, the 5-year between Dream Drop Distance and 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. And then 2 years between that and Kingdom Hearts 3. So really, we haven't properly been without a Kingdom Hearts game for more than 2 years at a time, if you count 1.5 Remix Key, 2.5 Remix and Unchained Key. But it's still slightly crazy, and if you get up to here, this is the top point of Castletown, and it's quite amazing. And if you just sit and wait up here, then after a while there'll be a shooting meteor storm, and that's basically 2 objectives completed at once. It's quite nice. I think the whole idea of the objectives and being able to change Aqua's costume was a fun addition. I don't think that it necessarily really does anything, and honestly I would have preferred sort of a more standard report type structure, but I suppose they wanted to give the demo more replay value. So I'm putting in those 51 objectives. There is sort of potentially a desire to replay through them. I think the other thing that does slightly annoy me with that whole objective system is that a lot of them don't actually appear until you start doing your second playthrough. So, like, you can't get all of the treasure chests until you're on your second playthrough. Obviously you can't play critical mode until you're on your second playthrough. And yeah, some of them are just a bit of a nightmare. But it's okay. And now we finally get battle situations, which is effectively something that they have introduced. So obviously in earlier Kingdom Hearts games you had the command styles, and that was how you progressed in terms of pulling off more and more powerful moves. But this is something introduced here, and obviously then went on to use in Kingdom Hearts 3. You kind of get your combo sort of going, and then you can go into different battle situations. In the case of here, you get command styles. In the case of Kingdom Hearts 3, it's the different Keyblade form changes, which are really quite fun, if I'm honest. You also get to sort of do magical finishes to things, and also pull off even more powerful magic than you are using. So, obviously we're using the Gar level spells with Aqua right now, so whenever you use those sort of battle situation things, you end up using the Zar level spells, which are obviously a lot more powerful. Also, I will get off Master of Counters, I am determined. I don't know whether it'll fully succeed. That one, basically you've got to use Blizzaga to create a massive long line. There's an area in the next world, air quotation marks, which is where I think it's recommended to try and pull that off. I'm going to fail miserably on achieving that, but it's fine. So yeah, we're going to sort of obviously deck Aqua out in various different things as we go, because it's what the game sort of wants you to do. I suppose after they did it with Lightning, they thought, well, Aqua's sort of a similar popular female character that everybody loves, so why not give her a outfit customization option as well. I don't know whether really there was any point to it. Honestly, I really don't think there was any point to it, but it's a fun thing to have. I wonder whether it was something that they were testing out to see whether they wanted to continue on in Kingdom Hearts 3, so being able to customise Sora's appearance, but then clearly, if that was what they were initially thinking, they ended up deciding against it, because you do end up with some slightly daft looking designs on Aqua. I mean, the whole Figaro is it kind of removes any hope you could get of seriousness, I suppose. Obviously, that's not to say that the Kingdom Hearts series takes itself too seriously. I mean, it's a franchise in which a child swings a massive key about alongside Goofy and Donald Duck. I mean, you can't really be too serious with that. But one of the things that obviously the Kingdom Hearts franchise has always succeeded in is walking that fine line between seriousness and ludicrousness. And I think that, yeah, putting like cat ears on Sora would be a little bit too much. I don't think it would work out quite so well, so I am quite glad that they did decide to ditch it in the end. Because, I mean, the other thing is that I think that Tetsuya Nomura is a great character designer. Obviously he has his quirks, to put it lightly, but he has got a really great sense of style for what he wants, and being able to change that into designs that, while obviously partially in keeping with it, are not fully in keeping with it, just means that it's not quite as fun. Also, this was me looking for treasure chests that categorically were not there because they only appear on your second playthrough. So that was fun. Also, you can see how short my first run through of this was. An hour and 15. Oh no, it was 3 hours and 1. Good grief, there's massive differences in the time frames played there. But it's fine. I did do another sort of run around trying to find things. It was a terrible idea. And I honestly don't quite know what I'm thinking of doing here, but basically as soon as you enter that courtyard in front of us, we're going to go into a boss fight, and surprisingly it is actually quite a difficult boss fight. And I think it's in part down to that whole trying to get used to the block timing that I really struggled with. Yeah, this was me going, like, I just need to check every nook and cranny, make sure that I've not missed anything. And, yeah, then eventually I just decided, you know what? Because a lot of these do only appear in your second playthrough, as I realised, I was like, you know what? Sod it, this is going to be the only Kingdom Hearts game where I'm not going to be a complete and utter treasure chest fanatic, because I couldn't do that to myself, really. But yes, we get down to the courtyard, and then here is a pretty terrifying boss. This is the Demon Tower, and oh boy, is it aggressive! Basically just, you know, a string of shadows, but oh boy, it's super aggressive, fights like a truck. Well, fights like a truck, it hits like a truck, and it's really difficult actually to properly defend yourself against, because either you can tell when it's about to attack, because obviously it glows orange and you're just like, oh, okay, I know what you're doing here. It isn't always easy to actually achieve that dodging. I mean, especially for this fight in this surprisingly small arena, really. You've not got very far to run. I think the main recommendation for getting through this easily is to, whenever he starts moving out, is to use double flight and then shield until he stops attacking, and then go in for the kill. But it is still difficult, and you can see that I'm trying to be very tactical, because one of the things that I didn't get on my first playthrough, which I wish I had, but it's because I didn't know it was a thing until it was too late, is that you get a trophy for beating 0.2 without dying, and it's something that I wanted to try and achieve. Annoyingly, I did not. It's very annoying because I was so incredibly close, but I will point that out when when that situation occurred. But as it stands, I did do remarkably well at not dying for quite a long time, which, I mean, for my runs on Kingdom Hearts games is definitely an improvement, because oh, I know a good few parts where they just went, like, boss fights just went really badly south. But yes, once this is done, we are done with Castletown, and it is time to move on to the next world that has been brought down into the darkness. And there is the Demon Tower gone, thank God, because I would not have had time to heal myself if he tried to attack me again. But yeah, that's Castletown done. It's time to head onwards.
Not even memories are safe from the darkness. What I wouldn't give to really turn back time. To spend one more night beneath the stars with my best friends. I'm doing it again.
Aqua.
It can't be. What are you doing here? You should be in the realm of light. Oh no. Did you not make it out? Don't tell me. Has the realm of light... Why won't you say anything to me? So what are you? A memory among these shadows? Are you here to try and tell me not to lose heart? The world keeps our thoughts alive. But where do the people who lived here go once the world was taken away? At least they're not here, so they haven't fallen to darkness. I'll take what solace I can from that.